Hey guys, this is day 70 of startup. In this video, I want to talk about how you can quickly test your product without even writing a single line of code. And here, of course, you will yourself be the user of this first version of the product. So you do not want to really create a fancy product or a fancy setup. And first of all, I want to talk about like why do we want to do this? Okay, there are two reasons for it. First, regardless of how passionate I am about my idea and how sure I feel, in startups, I want to just follow a discipline of assuming that whatever can go wrong will go wrong. So I want to really think whatever is the area that can have a little bit of risk of implementation, I want to just bring it out first and test it out and iron it out really. And the second reason for this kind of without code setup is that usually for a developer, whatever time a developer thinks will take to create something, usually it takes them 5 times that time to create it. So if you are thinking that whatever you are going to build as an MVP will take you 1 month to build, you can pretty much assume that it will take 5 months to build it, and if it takes 3 months, then it will actually be more than a year. So for that reason, I did not want to really get going immediately about writing the code, because my estimate for if I would have built this setup with my own code, it would have taken 30 days. But with some creative thinking and with some more brainstorming, I could actually reduce that time to just 3 days. So I needed a couple of things for testing this out. First, I needed so my solution is about making cold calls and doing something with it with the AI and other stuff. But for the MVP, I don't even need the AI. So I needed to build something to make calls from the computer. And for that, I was initially thinking of getting a phone modem and putting my SIM card in it, and then write some code to make calls. But eventually I was able to simplify it with getting a virtual Skype number, and Skype does everything, making phone calls. So yeah, a little bit of research there. Maybe you already knew this, but I had to just search a little bit. And second thing was I needed something to load the audio from the computer in the memory and keep it ready to play, which is usually not possible with usual media players on the computer. But then there's a recording software called Audacity, and it's a audio editor, and in that editor, it always keeps these recordings loaded in the memory ready to be played. And that's kind of a hack, but it does work to achieve the objective that I want to achieve. And now I'm able to, like, these two things needed to be connected again with some kind of software, but I was able to find an audio router, which is usually built for musicians who want to mix up audio from multiple instruments. And that audio router is good enough to connect Skype and Audacity together, and I can do some of the things manually that the software should be doing in the future. But by this manual plus this hacky setup, I have my MVP ready in just 3 days. Of course, the user is just myself, so this hacky stupid setup is fine for me. But once I am able to use myself this thing, which I will be probably starting to make cold calls from tomorrow or day after, or maybe this week, I will gain enough confidence to build my first product with actual code to take it to the customers. Now, of course, this is just the MVP. There's also more advanced stuff with AI, which is part of the story, because investors will not usually invest in such a simple product. They want to see the vision and where the product is going, and how are you integrating the latest technologies and being cutting edge. And for that also, I need to test it out, because only then it all makes sense to build it. And for that also, I have some shortcuts. So in that, I'm just trying to find what other people have done, and I'm assuming if there's a feature, if there's something that other people have done, then I can also do it. So with that assumption, I do not really need to actually find the code and try the code and do the coding myself, but I can just rely that, okay, I do not definitely want to do something which nobody has done, but if someone has done, then it is feasible and there's a way to do it. And of course, as a startup, you do need to put your faith into yourself that you will be able to do what other people are able to do. So that faith I'm taking. And second thing I'm trying to do is like my own features. I'm trying to decompose them into these smaller building blocks which I can actually find in other products. And the third thing is that usually these other products will be the consumer and fun apps. They're actually quite technologically advanced compared to the vertical apps. So consumer apps are usually called horizontal apps because they can be used as building, their technology can be used as building blocks in a lot of features. So maybe there will be a fun voice changing app for the consumer, and you can, and some business startup will actually be using that same technology for a vertical solution for maybe call centers. So so I'm actually hunting for cool demos of these consumer apps, and that allows me to really know the limits of the current limits of the technology, because I don't want to base my solution on something that is not feasible right now